Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, I think I'll use this episode to poke fun at some of our AL East foes. Both Tampa and Toronto have been eliminated from the first round of the playoffs, so I guess we'll just poke a little fun at that. But really focus on the Rays there. Really getting shocked, I would say, by the Texas Rangers there. Not just because they lost, the first two games, but just, they're completely shut down. Of course, we went into previous start with Jordan Montgomery there. They won the first game 4-0, and then backed that up by a second game, winning by 7-1. Really just took it to Tampa. In Tampa there, and we'll focus on that as well as just the fans. I mean, the crowds they got were minuscule. I mean, for a playoff game, I understand it's Tampa, but still, you had a 99-win team. Again, normally in circumstances you'd be the AL East champion with that, but because of course Baltimore had a little bit of a better season there. But nevertheless, bad job by the fans there. So we'll kind of get into all that stuff, but before we do, make sure you subscribe to this podcast. So there's still some playoff baseball left to go. Kind of drop in once in a while with that. And of course, we have the offseason ahead of us as they focus on this Yankees team and rebuilding them so they could be in the mix come 2024. So, as mentioned in the previous episode, Jordan Montgomery, the former Yankee, Yankees traded last season, did well with the Cardinals, and came up here again on a bad Cardinals team, but he himself still pitching well, now get traded over to Texas, and it looks like he just kicked it up a notch. Again, gave them a great performance in Game 1 there, 7 innings, shutout baseball, 5 strikeouts. We also had a nice diving play there to get Siri out, try to sneak a single there. But nevertheless, to focus on the second game, really the Texas bats just came out strong, but really I want to focus on one person, that is Nathan Eovaldi, yet another pitcher who was once in a Yankee uniform and went elsewhere and has flourished. Now, I don't know if you remember the whole backstory with Eovaldi. Now, he got drafted by the Dodgers, would eventually get traded to the Miami Marlins, and that's where the Yankees got him. Again, a good trade, I would say, by Cashman, so if people want to knock Cashman. So they traded veteran Martin Prado, who they had, as well as David Phelps out of the bullpen, and in that deal, not only get Eovaldi, but kind of a throw-in was Domingo Germán. So the Yankees got really two good arms out of that. I know Germán has his problems right now, but if you just look at the value of that trade, definitely a win for Brian Cashman on there. So for all the Cashman haters out there, hey, that's a feather in his cap. I know it was like 7-8 years ago, but it did happen. Now, Eovaldi with the Yankees kind of struggled a little bit at first, but then his second season, 2015, did pick it up and did develop a split-finger fastball midway through and posted a 14-3 record with the ERA just a little bit over 4. So 14-3, not too bad. Now, unfortunately for him, toward the end of the season, he had a little elbow inflammation. They had to shut him down in September. Now, if the Yankees did go on to the next round there, that's the year they lost to Houston in that one-game wild card at Yankee Stadium where they got blanked 3-0 there by Dallas Keuchel. If the Yankees would have been able to win that game and move to the next round, the ALDS, Eovaldi would have been ready to pitch. But unfortunately, again, this Yankee season was over, and so was he. Now, the next year after that, 2016, Eovaldi started to struggle a little bit, and then, of course, it turns out he had a torn tendon in his elbow, and he needed Tommy John surgery. So not only he lost 2016, but as well as all 2017. And since he was going to very obviously was going to go for free agency after 2017, the Yankees just outright released him. So the Yankees had this guy under control. Now, 2018, they did have an opportunity via free agent to bring him back, but I guess they maybe felt with the surgery it was too risky. I don't know. And eventually, Tampa Bay Rays would give him a contract, a 1-year deal for $2 million. Now, 1 year, $2 million, that doesn't sound a lot. So, if the Yankees really wanted him back, the Yankees probably could have offered him the same amount, and he probably would have came back, maybe for a tad less, perhaps. Who knows that? So, it seemed like the Yankees had no interest in this guy. And again, his guy at one point threw one of the best fastballs in the league, even though he was kind of wild a little bit. But, he was always throwing 99. Again, he was known to have, they would call the heaviest fastball in the league there. So you figure a guy like that, maybe you don't really want to let him go like that, but I guess just the Yankees took an evaluation of him, maybe that and the surgery just felt it was too risky, so ended up going elsewhere. Now from there, Tampa, midway, gets traded to the Boston Red Sox, and of course we know 2018, the Boston Red Sox went on to win the World Series, and again, Eovaldi was a critical part of that, being a jack of all trades, spot starting, being a long reliever, as well as closing games. And so he was there in the final game, and he was able to get his ring with the Boston Red Sox. So again, here's a guy in the Yankee uniform, goes elsewhere, kind of picks up his game a little bit. Now he's a World Series champion. Meanwhile, in 2018, again, the Yankees got eliminated by the Red Sox, as we all can remember. And now Eovaldi kind of bounced around a little bit, got signed a 4-year deal to stay in Boston, and now, more recently, signed a deal with the Texas Rangers there to pitch for them. So, guys bounced around the league a little bit. Now, you look at his career, 73-70, so, overall, lifetime record of only 3 games over 500. In certain moments, he's shined, and he shined for the Red Sox, and now shined in this game, too. against Tampa. Now he went 6 2/3 inning, only gave him 1 run, but 8 strikeouts again, which you would call an ace performance. So 2 guys that used to be in Yankee uniforms giving you ace performances for another team, and now Texas will move on, and Tampa would pack it in there. So just wanted to kind of, I always liked Eovaldi, and the Yankees, even last season, they were talking about possibly trading for him, trade with Boston to get him in here. I don't know, moving forward, we'll see what happens after the season. I mean, he is 33 years old now. He's getting on the wrong side of 35 there approaching, so I don't know if the Yankees would have interest in this guy. Probably not, just because you're not going to admit that you had a guy, you let him go, and you kind of just take the loss there. I don't think they'll be looking to bring him back, but you never know what happens there. So they move on, and as well as our other friends, the Toronto Blue Jays, they also eliminated. Lost the first 2 games against Minnesota there, and for Minnesota, the game 1 was their first playoff win in like 17 years. Again, their bane of their existence or whatever has been the New York Yankees have been the ones that pretty much, it always seems like every time they make the playoffs, the Yankees also make the playoffs, and so they always face the Yankees in the first round, and Yankees always eliminate them. So this is going back to 2002, 2003. So I guess Minnesota's happy not to face the New York Yankees. So they finally get their first postseason win, and again, to get their first postseason advance in a long time. So they knock off the Blue Jays 2-0 there, so they would move on. So I guess that's all that's left now is Baltimore, and obviously since they are the division winners, they were able to skip the first round, of course, having an impressive record as well. So they'll move on there. So I guess Baltimore Orioles are the only AL East representative left. And if one we'll jump back to the Tampa series there against Texas. Bad job by the fans. Game 1 only had 19,000 people. Game 2 only had 20,000 people. Wow, just 1,000 more. Come on, you got a team that won 99 games. I know there's no big stars like Ichiro or Aaron Judge or Dela Cruz on the team like that, whatever. But come on, you got to show up a little bit more than that. And it's not like these games are. I guess it's Sunday. Or, if it's on Sunday, sans football. Even though the Tampa Bay Bucks are terrible season, at least you can have an excuse for that. But it's like a midweek. Like, what else is going on in Tampa? I don't know. So bad job by the fans there. Now, I don't know if we got into this during the regular season, but Tampa is finally going to get a new stadium. They announced it, so it's not going to be ready till 2028. It's going to stay in St. Pete, so they're not actually, the organization isn't moving, unlike possibly the Oakland A's there. But again, those fans don't even deserve it. It's just going to be like the Miami Marlins. The Miami Marlins got a new stadium, and guess what? You go in there and it's dead empty. And it's just going to be the same thing. They'll have this all state-of-the-art ballpark, all this fancy stuff. Maybe the first, couple of months just because it's new, fine. But after that, it's going to be the same thing. No one's going to show up there. So, I don't know what it is with baseball in Tampa, why this doesn't click in with them. I understand a lot of former New Yorkers and people from the East Coast moved down there, okay, and they still love their old team. But there's got to be some fan base figure accumulated. They've been around since, I think, 98 was the first year of Tampa Bay. So, they've been around now over, 25 years. Like, you would think, all right, newer baseball fans, young kids growing up in the area. They should have a little bit, a little better representation like that. And especially, you had a team that won 99 games. You think it'd be excitable about that. I remember how they started the season. They ripped off 13, 14 games in a row to start the season. Maybe more than that. I think it was almost 20. Just got up to a ridiculous start, but again, it's a terrible fan base to them, but nevertheless, they're going to get their new ballpark in a few years. So, it's the episode, so I just kind of want to rub salt in the wounds of both the Tampa Bay Rays and Toronto, kind of just focus on Nathan Eovaldi, another guy who was in Yankee pinstripes who we let go and now is doing well elsewhere. Same old story there, and maybe we'll catch you on the next round of playoffs.